This week, we've got SYSA Executive Director and former Seattle United Director, Dave Griffiths, on the show. Everyone, welcome to episode 11 of the Jimmy and Kyle Show. As always, Jimmy McAllister, my partner on the golf course, my winning partner on the golf course. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. After the big victory we had over Dave and Paul, I feel pretty good. My confidence is running high.
Mine too. I mean, I wasn't particularly great on the day, but Jimmy, your positive mental talk, it's really got me going. It's really
we overcame, with all the ability that Dave has and the strength and the power, little broken down guys like us found a way to win. So there you go.
Yeah, it felt good.
Yeah,
and this week,
rub it in as much as you like.
No more.
Yeah, this week we've got SYSA Executive Director and former Seattle United Director, Dave Griffiths, on the show. Dave, how's it going?
It's going great. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, have you recovered a little bit from the beating you took on the golf course at the hands of Jimmy and I?
Yeah, but I'm still basking in the glory of my greatest ever round. But I don't want to talk. I don't want to gloat about it too much. But Jimmy can tell that story perhaps. But
it was pretty impressive. Pretty impressive, to be honest with you.
Yeah, 4 under is impressive any day.
That's right.
Thanks for having me. This is, you guys are doing a really good job, and the podcast just adds to the long list that you guys of things that you guys are doing. So, really happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
I'm a little bit shocked, Kyle. We're doing our 11th episode. I thought we would have been kicked off by 2 or 3, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I guess people keep watching it for some reason. So we'll keep talking as long as somebody tunes in.
Originally, I thought it was going to be a joke. So, but no, it's turned out really, really good. You guys are doing a good job. Yeah,
it's not the first time I've ever been called a joke.
So before we get into the episode today, we're going to do our Show Us What You Got segment. Today, coming from BO8 Copa, we've got Jordy Dierks. All right. Free kick. Little bender, top shelf.
Wow.
Watch this.
Hey, you know what, though? I got to protest this one. I know Jordy very well. He plays on the boys 08. I don't think that's him. I really don't. I think they just put a little Messi out there, although it was right-footed, and he says it's Jordy. I know his mother well, I know his father well, and I know Jordy would never do that. But if that was me, that could have been an imposter, to be honest.
Yeah.
That was impressive. How many takes did that take to do?
Well, he scored a lot of goals lately. That might be one take. Who knows?
Yes.
That's a pretty good team with some pretty good players. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't take many chances to do that. So pretty good.
Yeah. Jordy's been in the club since he was 6 years old. He started really early, and he's come up, man. He's done a great job. So great job, Jordy.
His mom and dad won Soccer for Life at one of the galas. So
the raffle,
yeah, the raffle. So very, very good family. Very
when
good
he was young too. So it's carrying him through pretty far.
Yeah. Sometimes on that deal, you hope that somebody 18 might win it, but that's a selfish side, But anyway, no, they've done a great job.
Yeah. So Dave, let's talk a little bit about the history of SYSA first. You guys are Seattle United's parent club, as we know, and you guys started, I believe, in the year 1969, long before you and I were ever born. So SYSA has been around forever.
Yeah, 1969. Jimmy was saying earlier, the fall of 1969. And really, its job is to be the umbrella organization for all of the clubs in SYSA, which are 13 clubs. You got 12 neighborhood clubs, recreational neighborhood clubs, and then you got Seattle United. So our job is to support the coaches and our membership, provide governance and the disciplinary part for any potential issues that come up, and really just support and guide our clubs forward in any way that we can at this point. But Jimmy knows the association well. He was a little
He was like 13, 14 at the time, right? You won the state championship, right, Jimmy?
I was 10 and I played U12 when we won the state championship. You know, when Seattle Youth Soccer Association was started, it includes Shoreline to this day, and it also included West Seattle, where I lived. Later on, West Seattle broke away, but it's still Shoreline, Greater Seattle area. It's very impressive. 12 recreational clubs with over 10,000 kids. It's the biggest association in the state.
Yeah,
and it always has been.
Yeah, a little over 10,000 at this moment. And actually, you mentioned West Seattle. I've had a conversation with the West Seattle president this week about bringing in 30 of their older teams back into the association. Awesome. At this point, they won't be a member club, but who knows, down the line, maybe that'd be an opportunity. But ultimately, it's about getting those older teams an opportunity to play, closer to home. Obviously help our older teams as well, make it a little bit more exciting and different for them each weekend to play somebody new. So,
Dave, you're the executive director. How many? You have over 10,000 kids, and that's a whole lot of kids. I know that we generally at Seattle United work with 2,200 kids. How many paid staff do you have to handle 10,000 kids?
Well, I'm the only one on salary. But then we have 9 members of staff, hourly staff as well, to help support. A big part of that is our registrars. We've got Paige, Anne, and Julie that do a fantastic job to get all of those kids registered in the spring. And then, of course, in the fall, their job is to support all of those clubs as they register those players in the fall. So, we've got staff members like Ken Sloan that will go out and make sure that the fields are in good working condition, the nets are up, and the goals are not mangled. He puts in
doing a little welding.
Yeah.
All joking aside, he probably would do some welding, but we've got Jessica as well, who obviously works with UCAL in terms of scheduling fields. I mean, some really important team members that do great work.
To me, it amazes me. Over 10,000 kids in the club, 9, 10 paid, whether it be part-time or full-time people. It just goes to show the unbelievable amount of volunteers and the quality of volunteers you have. I think all the commissioners of each clubs are volunteers. People like who's dear to my heart, Phil Harold, who has volunteered, even though his kids are long gone out of the association, has volunteered for years. I mean, those volunteers are what really keep the association together, aren't they?
Absolutely. And we're always looking for more too. I mean, a lot of these volunteers, like you mentioned, Phil, have been there for years. Our current president, Dave Funk, has probably been involved in the association for
a workhorse.
20, 30 years. John Clark has been involved in the association, who's our current treasurer on the board. He's been involved for 40 years, over 40 years.
40?
40.
Holy cow.
So I'm
almost that old.
Nah, he's still a bit younger than you, Jimmy. Don't worry.
No, I was saying I'm almost 40.
No, I mean, we've got some really long-standing, fantastic members, but we're always looking for more. And I think, this last month, definitely the last few weeks, we're always looking to diversify our board. And, if there's anyone watching that is interested, please reach out. We'd like to get you involved. Now more than ever, with some of the issues that are coming up. So, great volunteers, great board, great employees, and a lot of work goes into it. I mean, our recreational clubs, the presidents are volunteers, the field schedules, volunteers. They put in
a lot of work,
which is an absolutely thankless job.
Yeah.
How has the virus affected you guys, Dave? Has it? I mean, it shut us down. It must have been tough on spring soccer for you guys, huh?
Which virus are you talking about?
Yeah.
No, it was really bad timing, of course, for everybody, but for us, it was right at the start of our spring season, which brings in, a lot of our revenue. Thankfully, the government put out some programs that we could capitalize on and recoup some of those losses. But yeah, I mean, it shut down our spring season, which is a very popular offering, and we have excess of 500 teams that play in it. So we had to refund a lot of the money, and many teams actually donated their fee to us because of the situation. So we ended up with, a few $1,000s in donations from really great coaches and families that wanted to donate it. So yeah, it hit us pretty tough, but we've got a little bit of money put away for rainy day fund, and it's rained, so we're going to have to use that.
Ford.
Yeah. But no, we've got to keep moving it forward. We're trying to be positive. Obviously, we can only do what we're allowed to do, and obviously, we want our members to be safe and feel confident, and safe when they're out on the field. But I think we've tried to remain optimistic, and we're pushing the ball forward to make sure that we can get going as soon as we possibly can.
Awesome. So our history is obviously very, very intertwined with SYSA being the parent club. 10 years ago, I guess it was 11 years ago, really, there was the SYSA vote to remove the old club and start Seattle United, which brought in the regions, which you and I, Dave, we used to run a little club called Westside United back in the day, which is now our West region. Yeah. And we still have people that are on the board that were there with us. Paul Merce,
yeah.
Another guy whose kids have long since graduated and whatnot. I think Daniel's graduating college or graduating.
Yeah. Oh, he's working for Microsoft.
He's long gone. He's long gone out of college.
Yeah. So there's a lot of history there, and a lot of work that had to be done there at the beginning to reintegrate into the community when the club was formed. And we've got one of the things that we did in the beginning, and this was back even before Seattle United started, was these rec outreach programs where we would have paid trainers go in and work with the rec clubs and the teams there, especially at the youngest ages, U8 through U12. And that continues today, and now branches over most of the SYSA rec clubs. Tell us about that program a little bit there, Dave.
Yeah, the rec. Yeah, we had a conversation about that this week because this time of year is where, as you know, we start implementing some of those programs and just checking in with clubs and making sure that they are ready for it. If they want to tweak any of the programs, but basically the rec outreach program is there to predominantly support the coach of the teams. The younger teams, so the incoming coaches that maybe never had any experience before, or maybe just 1 or 2 years. Maybe it's sometimes an experienced coach that just wants new ideas. So basically, we set up a program called the Fall Rec Outreach Program, and these coaches will have typically a Seattle United coach, or we've had girl boss sports coaches come out most recently with big success, just to work with the coach, but also deliver the session to the players as well. And they get 1 hour a week. Sometimes it changes. So some clubs, for example, may have a coach filter through each team once a week. Some other clubs will want 2 sessions a week. So it changes based on the rec club's budget and what they want to invest in their teams. But that's typically what it's been in the past years. And that'll run for 8 weeks through the fall. We try and wrap it up before the daylight hours diminish, and we don't want to have these kids training in the darkness. But it's been really, really successful since, I think Kyle, you ran the first program. So
2008, I think, is when I started with Ballard with that program. Yeah, and it just blossomed from there. And I'll tell you, I mean, what you see as well is the level of play across the board in the rec programs that take part in it and the teams that take part in it have really grown. you see the level of play, the thought put into the game, the technique and everything, and the coaching as well has been great within those rec teams and whatnot.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I'm a little bit upset with that. You guys had a 50th year anniversary at Shoreline A and B last year. And you brought in a lot of toys, Dave, shooting targets. We brought in the big inflatable. It was magic. And I was by the shooting target where the Velcro was, and some little kid named David beat me the best 2 out of 3. And it was very frustrating for me. I kept hitting good shots, but the Velcro wouldn't stick. And every time he hit it, the Velcro stuck. So I bet him some food at the truck there we had. I lost to him. So if you're out there, I'm still a little bit upset. I want a rematch next year.
You're not referring to me. Okay. It was another David.
The shooting target. I loved the inflatable. I loved all the toys we had out there that day. And the 50th anniversary was one of the most fun soccer/fun events I've ever been to. And I was speaking to you earlier this morning. I'd like to see something like that continued because the game's supposed to be fun. I mean, we love to play, but the target shooting and all that was just an awesome day. And even though I lost, I still had a good time. But don't tell anybody about that. So.
That was a great event. You're right, and I think we want to do more of that type of event. It was a jamboree. We had younger teams out there. I think it was U8, U9,
it's awesome,
and U10 teams out there. Maybe U11, but
David was the big brother of one of the players. I think he was older, like 12. So there's a reason why he beat me. He was
so you're making excuses.
He wasn't 9 or 10. He was 12. The kid beat me.
Oh yeah.
So it's not as bad as getting beat by an 8-year-old.
No, it was a great event. You're right. I mean, we really had a good time of it. It was, of course, for our 50th anniversary. So it was a special event where we did not just put on the event with a food truck and those games that you're talking about, but we did a lot of videoing to capture the moment, and you can see those on our website. They're still up, but we really want to do more of that. We want to get a budget a little bit more established where we can put money towards those club events or community events, if you like. But we definitely want to do more of them. They were a ton of fun and well received.
Here in the near future, hopefully, knock on wood, we're going to come back to play. And I know Kyle spent a lot of time, Dr. Dresner on our medical advisory committee spent a lot of time on back to play procedures. And I know you've been involved. Anything you have on back to play? I mean, with how the coaches or the players, or what do you got going there, Dave? How do you get it out to all the coaches you have, safety aspects and all that with back to play?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I want to say thank you to you guys and John Dresner for the great work you've been doing, leading the conversation, not just in our city, but in the state. So, thank you for everything you guys have been doing. But it's going to be, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be different. But we're obviously not going to get back out to play unless it's deemed safe to do so. And I think as long as we can convey that message to our coaches and our parents and the players, then we will be back out there, and we'll follow all the protocols and the procedures that are set down from the state, and John Dresner is a part of that. So we're following closely. We're trying to align ourselves so that we can be ready to push the button as soon as we can get back out on the field. But a lot of it is just, reaching out to families, encouraging them to register now, which a lot of folks have been doing. In certain parts of the city, certain clubs have had, really a good jump in registrations already. So it's just more about, making sure that people feel comfortable and safe, and making sure that we follow the protocols and procedures as they become more clear. For you guys, obviously, you're gonna try and start. I believe you said phase 2, right? Did you say you were going to start then?
If we can get approval from the city of Seattle Parks, we will. Phase 3 is looking pretty likely, but we're working with them right now to see what we can do.
Yeah, and of course our rec clubs, they won't start until a minimum of phase 3. So we're trying to make sure that we're ready to go on that when the time comes.
You know, Dave, I've been lucky enough the last few years to hand out trophies at the city tournament you guys have every year. It's a unique thing in Washington State youth soccer. Can you speak a little bit to the all-city tournament you guys have every year?
Yeah, it is one of a kind in this state. So our association, obviously being as big as it is historically, and I think it's a 50-year-old event, as old as the association. At least definitely 48, 49 years it's been going. But the city tournament is, again, another big event for us each year. It runs from early December through until the third week of December. And we'll have hundreds of teams, and they play a double elimination format, which is very unusual, very unique, very difficult to schedule. So big hats off to Jessica for all the work she does with that. But people love it. I mean, it's just it's a great event, and there's games every single night, whether it's freezing cold or blowing a gale. There's games out there each night, so you could go to different parts of the city and see those games. But it's been a fantastic event for best part of 50 years, if not exactly 50 years.
Long time, yeah.
I think Jimmy played in it when he was
never played in that. Never played in the city tournament. But
yeah, we have a lot of families that obviously have siblings that play in SYSA rec programs, and I know for them the city tournament is huge. They get super excited about that, and that's a great thing you guys put on for those kids.
Yeah, it would be great if we could align it, or the state could align better with our city tournament, so that we have our competitive teams then progress on to the state rec cup, which some of our teams have participated in at the same time as playing in the city tournament. It would be great if it could align better there, but yeah, I mean, our teams love it, the parents love it. Coaches get a little out of hand sometimes, but for the most part, it's really, really well received and a super popular offering. So,
you know what I think is really cool about SYSA as well? A few years back, we went to calendar year. And the big thing was to get on calendar year. And if you want to play in the national team, and if you want to play in the World Cup, and if you want to play in the Intergalactic Cup, and if you want to play on the moon, you need to be on the calendar year. And it's the most important thing in the world. And what the guys at SYSA said, and Ed D'Alessandro, a little bit before your time, but you were around with us then, Dave, said, it's about kids playing with their classmates. And as you know, the calendar year disrupts that. And Seattle Youth Soccer Association still plays on a school year, am I correct? Which is different than everybody pretty much in the world. Is that true?
Well, I don't know about the world, but definitely in the state of Washington, we were the only association that did not switch to the birth year, and now it's being revisited. I know some associations to go back to the school year. So hats off to Ed D'Alessandro on the board at that time for really just sticking to their guns and believing in what was best for the families and the players. And from a social standpoint, it makes way much more sense.
You want to play with your classmates. You want to play with your friends. It doesn't matter what year you were born. You want to play with your peer group,
Yeah, and other clubs and other associations around the state saw a big drop in registrations, which may be attributed to that. Who knows? But I think with that big change coming, you can only say that was a big.
And the reason you could do that is Seattle Youth Soccer Association has the numbers to play in-house.
Yeah,
you don't have to go outside of the Seattle boundaries to find games, because you don't have to travel all over the state. There's plenty of competition within the greater Seattle area, which is fantastic. You don't have to travel if you don't want to. You can if you want to play at that level, but you don't have to. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that makes a lot of people, it makes it easier to play the game. The other thing that blows me away is the way you guys have been able to keep the price down on the product that you offer. And that to me is just right down to the volunteers that come out every year, the commissioners of the 12 clubs and the volunteers that make this happen. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the cost it varies across different clubs, of course. Sure.
because they have, different demographics or just a different, different level of costs, from, for example, Ballard down to Beacon Hill. That's a big dispersion. But yeah, ultimately each club really tries to keep it down just to make sure that they cover their costs. They're responsible with their budget. They can provide scholarships. Like I know Ballard does a lot of work in that respect. But it really, I mean, the cost and the participation and staying on calendar year has been a really good.
Staying away from calendar year, right? Staying on school year.
Staying away from birth year.
Right. Right.
Sorry, but yeah, no, I think it's been a really good move, and I think those, like I said earlier, those guys that made that decision were really smart in doing it.
I can tell you, we do surveys every year, and you try to find out what everybody else is doing and how they do gymnastics and what do you pay to play baseball and basketball and so on and so forth. I got to think that Seattle Youth Soccer Association and some of the rec soccer associations are the best deal in the world. I mean, and I say world because I mean, for what you get, and you get a coach and you get training and you get fellowship with your friends on the team, it's one of the best deals out there.
When you look at it per hour, soccer is one of the cheapest sports you can play, even if you play at the highest level, but definitely if you play SYSA and the rec programs, the $110 or whatever it may be for the 10, 12 weeks you're getting, the 1-2 trainings a week, the game on the weekend. I mean, the cost breakdown is nominal. And
it's a cup of coffee.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic value for what you get. Absolutely.
And I think that the key is too, sometimes it doesn't matter what the dollar value is, but there's always in the youth game in Seattle, I can speak for, there's always financial aid, money for youth soccer, for rec soccer, for premier soccer, for select soccer. I mean, it's just about getting the kids playing in it. There's a lot worse things you could be doing than going out and playing, and I think the older I get, I see more value in playing than necessarily playing great. I mean, some kids are going to aspire to be great. Some kids like to do it as a hobby, but the key is that you're playing.
Yeah, it's the activity. It's a healthy lifestyle.
It's the health stuff. It's the
social part, the mental health part of it's big as well.
And that's what's missing right now. Yeah. And I can tell you from experience and from some of the emails I've gotten, some of our customers are having a hard time with this because they don't have their social activities to do. Yeah. And that's one of the hardest things, is staying positive when some of the things you enjoyed doing have been taken away, whether that's being an adult and going out to dinner with your friends, or that's being a kid and getting to be able to go out to training, or go to school or do the things you normally do,
Yeah.
So,
I think my daughter is one of those kids that is, we're fortunate. We've got a couple of neighbors close by that have friends and they're great buddies, but it's a small network of friends. And I think she really misses that school environment where there's, 20, 30, 40 other kids that she knows and she can interact with. But I want to go back to a little bit to the cost part that you mentioned. So some of the things that we talk about, or I meet with the city, and I sit on a committee with the Parks Department and other sports. And we are exactly, as you say, probably one of the cheaper programs. Our neighborhood clubs are some of the cheapest offerings in the city in terms of sports. If you do break it down in terms of, 2 practice sessions or 1 practice session a week and a game, it does come down to less than a cup of coffee. Obviously, we've got volunteer coaches, but I think if we support those coaches and make sure that they're running a good session and they're keeping the kids moving, I mean, that is, these players are really fortunate to have that opportunity and they can exercise and they have that friend, that network that we're talking about. Because at daycare, Kyle will know. Kyle's got a clan of kids. It's probably even more expensive for him. But for me to get a babysitter for my daughter, it's $15 minimum an hour. So
hey, Dave.
Yeah,
Dave, do you drink coffee?
I'm trying to get off the coffee.
You keep saying less than a cup of coffee. I think it's pretty expensive to get a cup of coffee anymore, isn't it?
Well, but you drink those fancy coffees. I'm talking.
Yeah. I don't know if it's that cheap for a cup of coffee anymore.
Cup of black coffee is what, $2.50, $3 maybe. Depends on where you.
Expensive for a cup of black
Way
coffee.
we
Depends on where you go.
Can we name the clubs in SYSA just to give the clubs a shout out? Or
Yeah,
can you do that?
absolutely. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So in the city of Shoreline, you've got Shore Lake Soccer Club in Hillwood, and then coming down the northeast, you've got Lake City and LVR. And then over into our west region, you've got Ballard, which is I think it's now the second biggest club in the association.
I believe so.
Woodland Soccer Club, which is the biggest. They're doing a fantastic job. Magnolia and Queen Anne. And then down in the south end, you've got McGilvra, Capitol Hill, and Mount Baker and Beacon Hill. So those are the four, and then obviously you guys, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And you say that some of that Woodland's really grown. Woodland's right about around Lower Woodland Playfield, am I correct?
Correct.
In that area?
Yeah.
Green Lake, the Green Lake area. Kevin Long,
Green Lake, Finney Ridge,
used to be the president of that club, did he not? Yeah, they've done very well.
Yeah.
And Andy Westmark out at Ballard. Yeah.
Another really well organized club. Yeah. LVR is doing a great job. Really enjoyed working with those guys. And also one of the smaller ones, I want to give a shout out to Lake City. Lake City just a few years ago was really struggling financially, and the old president Basim, and now the new president Dave Farber has done a great job in basically rebuilding the club, and it's going in a really good direction. Cool. So we've got these success stories.
That's Brian Schmetzer's club, isn't it?
That's
exactly where Brian played. Yeah.
There's
a lot of clubs, man.
A lot of good players came out of that club, and still do. So,
a lot of great players, not good, great players came out of that club. I think Dickie McCormick was around there.
One super important thing that I want to mention real quick too, and it's something that we kind of co-sponsor together, is kind of that community outreach program with Carlos, because I think that goes on behind the scenes. People don't see that. We obviously are very careful about tooting our own horn about it, because it's something we do out of the goodness of our heart, and SYSA does out of the goodness of their heart. Tell us a little bit about that program, Dave. One of these days we're going to have Carlos on here, and we're going to have a full episode on the community outreach, but I want to make sure that people understand that, yes, SYSA is a very large youth soccer club. Seattle United is part of SYSA and is a large soccer club. But at the end of the day, we are community oriented, and we really invest back into the community as much as we possibly can, with time, with money, with all that stuff. So tell us a little bit about what Carlos does and how that benefits Seattle as a whole.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we do it because it's the right thing to do, right? To become a community asset more than anything else. I think a lot of organizations could really gain so much by working with the schools, the school district, and other organizations around the city, non-profits like ourselves. So this goes back to when I was working at Washington Youth Soccer. My job was to set up schools programs all over the state. And in doing that, I ended up having conversations with Jimmy, and at the time, Jason, to set something up in the Seattle area. Mm-hmm. And Seattle at SYSA, Ed D'Alessandro was involved in that conversation too. And really, they just grabbed onto it and wanted to become involved, wanted to capitalize on what the program could mean. And originally it was going into schools during the day to run in-class programs, introduce young players to the game for the first time potentially. Obviously support the teachers, and then it turned into an after-school program, which Carlos has done a great job. We have a memorandum of understanding with the Parks Department. So theoretically, we could go into high schools, we could go into middle schools, as well as the elementary schools. But Carlos targets the elementary schools and visits, close to 100 schools a year. makes 100 visits plus a year, I should say, but obviously multiple times in some schools. But it's become a really, really good program. And then the other things that Carlos works with, the low-income families and that are providing providing meals through the summer. So he'll go and put on a free soccer clinic, or just pop up the goals and play soccer with these kids during the summer when they're just meeting to get their daily meal that is being provided to them. So Carlos continues to do really good work, and we really happy with working with you guys on that. And long may it continue. But possibly could we toot our own horn a little bit more on it? Yes. I don't think it's nothing that we should be bragging about, because it's the right thing to do. Like I said, that maybe to gain a little bit more financial support in that would be great.
Yeah, Carlos is a rock star. I mean, everything that he does and the work that he puts in, tireless work and is amazing. He really cares. He is a community staple in those schools.
Yeah, and I think it's important to know that when we look at the schools, we look at schools that are heavily into the free and reduced lunch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he volunteers to give equipment. We've donated equipment, soccer balls, goals, and he does it because, like Dave said, it's the right thing to do. He is a community asset. I mean, there's no question. He's done great things in our community. And when you go places with Carlos, the kids know who he is. Yeah, and that's important.
Not just the kids, the leadership as well.
Yeah.
He's really well connected with everyone within those communities. So he does a great job.
Does a great job. Yeah.
And like I said, we'll have Carlos on here. We'll do a community outreach episode here some point soon. That way we can really hear about the program, and he can tell us all the little details of what goes on. So Dave, just in terms of things that we do for the SYSA community as well, we SYSA and Seattle United kind of co-brand a program called PDA, Player Development Academy. That is an extra skills academy that rec players that want more can come into, and it helps bridge the gap between the rec program and select program that we carry. There's SAQ, which is strength, agility, quickness program that they have access to, goalkeeper clinics. I mean, a multitude of different things that we both put on to make sure that any players that want to have access to those things do. And again, those are things that are pretty nominal cost for what you get, and scholarships are offered for those as well. So there shouldn't be any barriers. We don't want people to think there are barriers to doing these programs.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a lot of misconception out there about soccer being way too expensive. Definitely. How many scholarship dollars did you make? This year, was it 260? I mean, there's a lot of money you guys make each year to put towards scholarships. So there are opportunities out there for families to reach out. But going back to the programs, the PDA has been running since, I believe, the club, Seattle United.
Before we had our first teams.
Yeah. Before the club started. Yeah.
2009, fall of 2009 was the first PDA.
Yeah, right. And I think that tell me if I'm wrong again. I should know because I worked there. But the PDA was designed to give players the opportunity to develop their skills, obviously, outside of their normal season, but also, just in line with their season as well, perhaps, and just give them a little bit more individual development training opportunities, foot skills, and then you've got the SAQ and agility, like you said, SAQ, speed, agility, quickness. You also had the advanced training program for a while. I'm not sure if you guys are still doing that, but the goalkeeping is obviously a really specialized.
Rich Reese does a lot with the goalkeeping and does a lot with SYSA. We've started a camp program this year. Not the greatest timing, but we have a partnership on the camp. Sean Russell, one of our directors, is in charge of that, and I feel sorry for him because running summer camps right now is probably not the most lucrative thing you could do.
No.
Just don't hold it against him, Jimmy. Just
No,
don't hold it.
no. I know it's not his fault.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's a lot of connections that we have,
Yeah.
and hopefully that continues because it's for the good of the game and it's for the good of the kids that play the game. I think we had over 130 financial aid, applicants and people that qualified last year. I think this year might be a challenging year for all of us in that.
Yeah.
Our community's been hit, obviously, with loss of jobs and, things like that. The economy's not the greatest, but, I really think that youth sports is something that we need to have. I think it's an essential service for me, both physically and mentally for kids. And even if I wasn't involved in it, I think the things I learned from the game and the friends I made and the things, I was the kind of kid, if I didn't have soccer or something to do, I could find something to do. And it usually wasn't the greatest thing to be done.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that
the stories
for kids like me, that it was to have some discipline and have to be at training and have a coach that could tell me what I could and couldn't do. So.
Yeah, just burn off some energy. I mean, you don't have to go and play for the national team like you, Jimmy, but it's it's just burn off some energy. Like my daughter's just running past you as we talk.
Yes, she hit you with a laser, didn't she? Did she laser you, or what did she do?
She was wearing a helmet. I think she was on a scooter outside. So
she's being safe, Dave.
Just being able to get. Didn't throw anything at her, just being able to get outside and burn off some energy. With your buddies, it's absolutely like you said, it's essential in that sense. I mean,
I think it's essential.
Yeah. So let's hope that we can get back up and running, and folks will be out there soon enough. I mean, the parents that I'm talking to, our good friends here in West Seattle or around the city, a lot of them are really ready to get their kids out. They want to get them out on the field and start, get them playing again. And like you said earlier, the folks should know that there are scholarships available, and they just need to ask. And we'll obviously keep things confidential and in that process. But I mean,
I gotta say that we're real proud of the job you're doing at SYSA as the director. That you were with us for a short time, and it's really great that you're doing the job in Seattle. And really appreciate all you do for the kids and what you do for Seattle United. So it's you're doing a great job.
Yeah, thanks, Jimmy. That means a lot. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on there, Dave. And why don't you let us know how people can get a hold of you at SYSA, get a hold of SYSA to register their players, all that good stuff.
Yeah, if you go to our website, www.sysa.org, you can find us on there, or you can just email me, davidg@sysa.org as well. So you can find me that way. Guys, thank you very much. That's really cool. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, of course.
No problem.
Next time I see you, hopefully on the golf course.
Yeah, we look forward to beating you again on the golf course.
All right.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Until next time, everybody. We'll see you.